Imagine a quiet evening. You are walking down a familiar street, the one you grew up on. The air is still. The streetlights cast long, dancing shadows. But something is not quite right. A strange feeling, a hum in the air, makes the hairs on your arm stand up. You turn a corner and there, under the gentle glow of a flickering lamp, you see someone. They look lost. They look confused. Most of all, they look exactly like you, but younger. This is not a memory. This is not a dream. They are real, breathing, and staring right back at you with your own eyes, filled with a youthful confusion you had long forgotten. What do you do in that moment? Your heart hammers against your ribs, a frantic drumbeat in the sudden, deafening silence. Every instinct screams that this is impossible, a trick of the light or a tired mind playing games. Yet the longer you stare, the more real it becomes. You remember that old, faded jacket they are wearing. You remember the way your hair used to fall across your forehead just like that. This person is you, a living, breathing echo from your own past. The world seems to tilt on its axis, and the solid ground beneath your feet feels like shifting sand. You are a ghost in your own history. The questions begin to flood your mind, a tidal wave of bewilderment and fear. How did you get here? Or more accurately, are you? The familiar street is subtly different. The cars parked along the curb are older models. The corner store you remember being closed for years now has a bright, welcoming light in its window. A newspaper, caught by a sudden breeze, tumbles past your feet. The date on it confirms your deepest, most unbelievable suspicion. You have traveled back in time, and the first person you meet is the one person you can never truly escape, yourself. This is the ultimate confrontation. It is a meeting that breaks all the known laws of physics and reality. Standing before you is not just a younger version of yourself, but a vessel of all your past hopes, your forgotten dreams, and your painful mistakes. They do not know the life you have lived. They do not know the joys and sorrows that await them. To them, you are a stranger, a bizarre and unsettling apparition. But to you, they are a living monument to everything you once were. The silence stretches, and the biggest question of all hangs in the air. What happens next? Your younger self takes a hesitant step back. Their eyes are wide with a mixture of fear and intense curiosity. They see a stranger who wears their face, but it's a face etched with lines of experience they cannot comprehend. To them, you are a mystery, a phantom who has appeared out of nowhere. Do you speak? What could you possibly say? Do you tell them the truth? A truth so outlandish, it sounds like a madman's rambling? Hello? You might want to say, I am you, from the future. The words feel absurd on your tongue, impossible to utter. Yet they are the only truth that matters in this impossible moment. The very act of being there is a paradox. You are an anomaly, a piece of the future that has been carelessly dropped into the past. Your presence is like a rock thrown into a perfectly still pond. The ripples have already begun to spread, silent and invisible, but with the potential to change everything. Every breath you take, every move you make, could alter the course of this young person's life. A life that is supposed to become life. The weight of this responsibility is immense, a crushing force that makes it hard to think, hard to breathe. You are not just a visitor. You are a potential saboteur of your own existence. Think about the information you hold. You know every wrong turn they are about to take. You know about the failed investments, the broken hearts, the missed opportunities. You possess a roadmap to a better life, a cheat sheet for success and happiness. The temptation to share it, to spare your younger self the pain you endured, is almost overwhelming. You could warn them away from that terrible decision, push them toward that person they should have met, or tell them to invest in that company that will one day change the world. You could erase all of your regrets with just a few carefully chosen words. But this is a dangerous game. You are not just an advisor. You are a living, breathing spoiler alert for your own life story. By revealing the future, you might rob your younger self of the very experiences that shaped you into the person standing here today. The struggles, the heartbreaks, the failures, were they not the crucibles that forged your strength and wisdom? If you erase the pain, do you also erase the lessons learned? You stand there, a silent ghost from the future, holding the power to rewrite your own history. And you realize, with a chilling certainty, that you have no idea what the consequences of that would be. This brings us to one of the most famous and mind-bending puzzles in all of science fiction, the grandfather paradox. The concept is deceptively simple, yet its implications are profound. Imagine you travel back in time and prevent your grandparents from ever meeting. If they never meet, one of your parents is never born. And if your parent is never born, then you are never born. But if you were never born, how could you have traveled back in time to stop them from meeting in the first place? It's a perfect loop of logical contradiction, a snake eating its own tail for eternity. Your very existence cancels itself out. This isn't just a fun thought experiment, it's a fundamental problem that any theory of time travel must address. Many scientists and thinkers have wrestled with this puzzle. Does the universe have a built-in safety mechanism? Some theories propose that time is resilient, self-correcting. It's as if the timeline has a kind of immune system. You might try to change a major event, but the universe would conspire to ensure it happens anyway. Perhaps your attempt to stop your grandparents from meeting is the very event that causes them to meet. You become an unwitting agent of the very history you sought to change. Applying this to our scenario, what if you say something that causes your younger self to live a completely different life? A life where they never have the children you had, or never pursue the career that led to this moment of time travel. By changing their path so drastically, you could be erasing the future you came from. You might simply fade away, a forgotten ghost, because the person you were supposed to become no longer exists. The paradox suggests that your attempt to fix your past could be the ultimate act of self-destruction, a cosmic undo button for your own life. The grandfather paradox forces us to ask a monumental question: is the past set in stone, or is it a flowing river that can be diverted into new channels? If you meet your younger self, you are standing at the edge of that river with a shovel in your hand. Every word, every action is a scoop of dirt, potentially altering the flow forever. The paradox serves as a stark warning. It tells us that time is not a playground. It is a fragile, intricate web of cause and effect. And pulling on a single thread could cause the entire tapestry of your reality to unravel in ways you could never possibly predict. If you could travel through time, there would surely have to be rules. Not rules made by people, but fundamental laws of the universe designed to prevent cosmic chaos. Science fiction has explored this idea for decades, creating a kind of unofficial handbook for temporal explorers. The first and most important rule, often called the prime directive of time travel, is simple: do not interfere. Observe, but do not touch. Your goal should be to leave the past exactly as you found it, like a visitor to a pristine wilderness who leaves no footprints behind. This is a rule born of profound caution, an acknowledgement of the unimaginable risks involved. But how could you possibly follow such a rule when faced with your own past self? The emotional pull would be immense. How do you stand by and watch your younger self make a mistake that will cause them years of pain? How do you resist the urge to offer a simple piece of advice that could change their life for the better? This is the central conflict for any time traveler. It's a battle between the cold, logical necessity of non-interference and the deeply human desire to help, to heal, and to fix. Following the rules would require a level of self-control that seems almost superhuman. Another proposed rule is the idea that you cannot change major, significant events, but you might be able to alter smaller, personal ones. Perhaps history has a certain inertia. You could not stop a war or prevent a natural disaster, as the timeline would simply root around your interference. But changing a personal choice? That might be possible. This theory suggests that history is like a great, thick rope made of countless smaller threads. You might be able to break or redirect a single thread, your own life, without breaking the entire rope of history. But even this is a gamble of cosmic proportions. Ultimately, the greatest challenge is the unknown. There is no user manual for time travel. No one can tell you for certain what the consequences of your actions will be. You would be operating completely in the dark, armed only with your own knowledge and your own conscience. Would you risk it? Would you risk unraveling your own existence, or even the fabric of reality itself, for the chance to soothe an old regret? The rules of the road are not just about physics. They are about ethics, responsibility, and the terrifying weight of a choice that could echo through eternity. Our fascination with this very idea is not new. It's actually been a cornerstone of our storytelling for generations. We see it in classic literature and, in blockbuster films too. Think of H.G. Wells' The Time Machine, where the protagonist journeys into the distant future, only to find a world that's, irrevocably changed. Or consider the beloved film Back to the Future, where Marty McFly has to navigate the dangers of interacting with his own parents in the past, constantly risking his own existence. These stories are more than just entertainment. They're explorations of our deepest hopes and fears about time, choice, and consequence. These narratives, they really serve as our collective thought experiments. They let us explore the what-ifs from the safety of our armchairs. In Back to the Future, Marty's interference is accidental, but the consequences are immediate and, honestly, pretty terrifying. He sees his own image begin to fade from a photograph, which is a visual representation of the grandfather paradox in action. The story becomes a desperate race against time to repair the damage he's caused, to make sure his own future comes to pass. It teaches us a simple, powerful lesson. Meddling with the past is a messy and unpredictable business. Other stories, like The Terminator, present a more deterministic view of time. In this universe, the future sends assassins back to alter the past, suggesting that the timeline isn't fixed and can be violently rewritten. This creates a perpetual war across time, where the future is constantly trying to manipulate the past to secure its own outcome. It paints a darker picture, where time travel is not a tool for exploration, but a weapon. The act of meeting oneself or one's ancestors is not a moment of wonder, but a moment of mortal danger. These stories resonate with us because they tap into a universal human desire, the wish for a second chance. We've all wondered what we would do if we could go back. Would we be wise and cautious observers, or would we be active participants, eager to reshape our destiny? Pop culture has given us a rich tapestry of possibilities, from cautionary tales to hopeful adventures. It's prepared us for the questions we would face, and it's shown us the potential for both heroic triumph and catastrophic failure. Our dreams of time travel are, in essence, dreams of understanding ourselves. Let's return to that street corner. You are still there, frozen, staring at the person you used to be. The initial shock begins to fade, replaced by this powerful, seductive thought, the thought of change. It starts as a whisper. Just one small thing, it says. Tell them to take that art class they were always afraid to try. Tell them to be kinder to their parents that year. Tell them to ask that person to dance. It seems so harmless. How could such a small piece of advice cause any real damage? Honestly, it feels less like changing history and more like giving a gentle, helpful nudge in the right direction. This is the siren song of the time traveler. The belief that you can make things better, that you possess the wisdom to perfect the past. You could prevent a lifetime of regret over a single foolish argument. You could steer your younger self away from friendships that turned sour or choices that led to dead ends. The power you hold is, well, intoxicating. You see a clear path to a happier, more successful life, and the only thing standing in the way is your own hesitation. The temptation to play God, even on a small personal scale, is almost unbearable. It feels like your duty. But consider the butterfly effect. This is the idea that a tiny, seemingly insignificant event, like the flapping of a butterfly's wings, can set off a chain reaction that leads to massive, unpredictable consequences on the other side of the world. Your harmless advice could be that butterfly. Telling your younger self to take that art class might mean they never meet their future spouse, who they would have met in the science class they skipped. Encouraging them to be braver might lead them to take a risk that ends in disaster. A disaster you never experienced. You cannot possibly know the full ripple effect of your actions. Every moment of your life is connected in a complex, invisible web. Pulling on one thread might seem simple, but it will inevitably tug on 100 others you cannot see. The life you have lived, with all its flaws and all its beauty, is a product of every single decision, good and bad. By trying to improve it, you risk creating a future that is not just different, but potentially far worse. The whisper of change is a dangerous seduction, promising a perfect past while hiding the price of an unknown and potentially monstrous future. So is there any way around these paradoxes? Is there a way to change the past without destroying yourself in the process? Some physicists and philosophers have proposed a fascinating and elegant solution, the multiverse, or the many worlds interpretation. This theory suggests that for every choice made, the universe splits. A new parallel universe is created for each possible outcome. In one universe, you turned left. In another, you turned right. Every possibility is played out in its own separate reality, creating an infinite number of parallel timelines. If the multiverse theory is true, it changes everything about our time travel scenario. When you travel back in time and give your younger self advice, you are not changing your own past. You cannot. Your past is fixed because it has already happened. Instead, your interference causes the timeline to split. You have created a new, divergent universe. In this new reality, your younger self will live a different life based on your advice. But your own timeline, the one you came from, remains completely untouched and unchanged. You haven't erased your past. You've simply created an alternate one. This idea neatly solves the grandfather paradox. If you go back and prevent your grandparents from meeting, you don't vanish from existence. You have simply created a new timeline where you will never be born. You, the time traveler, would then be stranded in this new universe, a refugee from a reality that no longer corresponds with the one you are in. You would be an anomaly, a person without a past in this new world. This escape clause removes the risk of self-destruction, but it introduces a new kind of danger, the danger of being lost, forever adrift in a sea of alternate realities. So when you stand before your younger self, the multiverse theory offers a tantalizing possibility. You could give them all the advice you want, creating for them a perfect life, without fear of erasing your own. But what happens to you? You can never go home because the home you knew now exists on a different branch of reality. You would have to watch this new version of yourself live out the life you gifted them, while you remain an outsider, a ghost from another world. The multiverse may solve the paradox, but it does so at the cost of permanent exile. Let's set aside the physics for a moment and consider the human element. Imagine you successfully give your younger self the winning lottery numbers, the stock tips, the secrets to a flawless life. You have given them a life without struggle, without failure, without pain. Is this truly a gift, or is it a curse? Our character, our resilience, and our wisdom are not forged in times of ease. They are forged in the fires of adversity. The tough times teach us empathy. The mistakes teach us humility. The heartbreaks teach us the true value of love and connection. By handing your younger self a perfect life on a silver platter, you might be robbing them of their own humanity. A life without challenges is a life without growth. Would this version of you be happy, or would they be shallow, entitled, and unequipped to handle any unexpected hardship? The knowledge you possess is a burden. It gives you the power to erase the very experiences that made you who you are. The scars you carry are proof that you have lived, that you have fought and survived. Would you really want to live a life without a single scar? Think about the reaction of your younger self. At first, they might be grateful, but soon, paranoia might set in. How can they ever know if their successes are their own? Every achievement would be tainted by the knowledge that it was preordained, handed to them by a ghost from the future. They would be living in your shadow, following a script that you wrote. They would lose their free will, their ability to make their own choices and forge their own path. They might even come to resent you, this all-knowing specter who stole their journey from them. The burden of knowledge is not just about knowing the future, it's about the responsibility that comes with it. To know the future is to be tempted to control it. And to control it is to deny someone else their own life. Perhaps the greatest gift you could give your younger self is not a list of answers, but silence. The gift of allowing them to make their own mistakes, to discover their own triumphs, and to become the person they are meant to be on their own terms. The knowledge you have is powerful, but true wisdom may lie in knowing when not to use it. We are left where we began, on that strange silent street, with a choice that could reshape reality. The theories of physics, the paradoxes, the lessons from our stories, they all swirl around this one intensely personal moment. You stand before your own past, a mirror reflecting not just who you were, but everything you have become. The encounter is not just about time travel, it is about self-reflection. It forces you to look at your life in its entirety, with all of its messy, beautiful, and painful details, and to ask the hardest questions of all. Do you regret your past? Do you wish you could change it? Or have you made peace with the person you were and the choices you made? Meeting your younger self would be the ultimate test of self-acceptance. It's a chance to forgive yourself for long-held regrets, or a chance to see that the moments you thought were your greatest failures were actually the seeds of your greatest strengths. The person standing before you is innocent of the life to come. They are full of a potential that you know, intimately, was both realized and squandered. What do you see when you look at them? An opportunity or a life well lived? There is no easy answer. Science can offer theories about paradoxes and parallel worlds, but it cannot make the choice for you. It cannot weigh the value of a lesson learned against the pain of the experience. It cannot measure the soul. The decision to interfere or to walk away is not a scientific one. It is a deeply philosophical and personal one. It reveals what you value most, the comfort of a life without pain, or the wisdom that can only be earned through struggle. It's a choice between a curated, perfect story and an authentic, imperfect one. And so, we end with the great unanswered question. If you had the chance, if you could stand on that street corner and face your own past, what would you do? Would you whisper the secrets of the future, hoping to create a better life, even if it meant stranding yourself in a new reality? Or would you simply smile, turn, and walk away, leaving the past untouched? Would you trust that the journey, with all its wrong turns and unexpected detours, is exactly what it needs to be? The choice is yours. What would you say to the person you used to be?